Chappelle.
Thank you. Oh boy, I'm very nervous. No pressure. During the Civil Rights Movement, I can't read what's on the teleprompter. Some about Black America and white America. There's Black Americans and there's white Americans. We're all one America. So if you don't mind, this is not live, is it? I imagine whatever I say, you could just edit it out. Let's try it a few ways. Lou, are you in the booth?
I am.
All right, good. You know what, Lou? Let's just play around with it and see if we can get it right and get this clip package on, and then let me go home. All right?
You got it.
All right.
Ready?
All right. Count me in.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Wu-Tang. I'm just with you, Lou. Let's do it again. We're gonna do it again. We'll get it right.
Here we go, Dave. 5, 4, 3, 2.
You know, when I was a comedian starting out in Washington, D.C., right here in this city, 1988, I'll never forget this. It was a comedy club owner that banned profanity from his comedy club. He said it offended his audience, and this was a cause of major concern for all the comedians in the circuit. And we all called a meeting, and we had the owners come, and it was the club owners, and it was the comedians. It was the classic labor dispute. The club owners laid out their case. There cannot be profanity in these clubs because that offends people. And there's a comedian who's still a good friend of mine to this day. He lives right here in Washington, D.C. He stood up and he said, he's black, I should tell you, because it's important to the story. He says, I use profanity because I live a profane lifestyle. He says, I don't have an insect infestation in my house. I have roaches. Man, I gotta tell you, when I was sitting here watching what all the other honorees have done with their lives, I started feeling like shit. Like, this is terrible. And then Bobo brought me up and started out good with that Ali picture, and then it just... But that coloring book that was in the picture, I know the Ali's are here, that coloring book, my mother has it. And Champ, he signed it. You know, the greatest, he signed it, Muhammad Ali. And his sparring partner was there that day. And his sparring partner signed it, said the next heavyweight champion of the world, Larry Holmes. And he was. And 2-year-old Dave Chappelle colored all in that shit and just ruined the book. But I remember part of the book that I remember real vividly, because I asked my mother about it when I was a kid. There's a part where there's a picture of Ali throwing his Olympic gold medal into the Ohio River. That's why it's so weird for me being here. You know, both my parents were very brilliant. My dad went to Brown in 1955. That's right. He told me at the time he was one of 3 black students. He said one of the guys got accused of a rape that he probably didn't commit. And the other guy killed himself, and Dad said, and I left. And see, that's what makes us Chappelle's great. We know when to quit. We all just live to fight another day. I gotta say, I'm very honored to be here, and I'm very honored to be here with the other honorees. Really, I'm like very humbled by you all, the work that you do, and you all make me want to be better. All of you. And you know, I was gonna stop doing stand-up for a while because 4 comedy specials in a year is like, that's a lot, you know. But you know, shout out to my colleagues in comedy. I just want to say that in a way, this for me belongs to my mother primarily, who was an African-American studies professor, and a lot of the content that I say, she raised me well. I'm not an uninformed person. But also, my colleagues in comedy, like comedians have been getting beat up pretty bad recently, and we're somehow nowadays expected to speak with the precision of attorneys or politicians. We are not. I always think of James Baldwin. James Baldwin was one of my favorite writers because he managed to tell white people what they feel like to be around. So I ain't gonna hang up my gloves yet. I think I got one more special in me. So to quote Baldwin, God gave Noah the rainbow sign. It's no more water, it's the fire next time. Thank you very much. Boy, this comes as a complete surprise. I read all the reviews, and they said so many terrible things. They were embarrassed for me. I had lost my way. It wasn't even worth watching. I hope all you critics learn from this. This is a teachable moment. Shut the fuck up forever. Two in a night. These aren't them. These are the ones I want for the other ones, motherfucker. I would like to thank my editor who was nominated. Unfortunately, he did not win, but I couldn't have been more honored to work with Jeff Urin. Stan Lathan has been directing television since 1968. Any show that I watched when I was growing up, he directed it. From Sesame Street to Sanford and Son to Good Times to Everything Black. And finally, you motherfuckers finally gave him an Emmy tonight. He deserves so much more, but I'm glad you came around. I'd like to shout out all the other nominees tonight. Tiffany Haddish and Patton Oswalt and Hannah Gatsby and Brother Mulaney. You guys are an inspiration to me, and I'm honored to be nominated with you. I'm sorry that you didn't win tonight, but who gives a fuck anyway? It's a special night because comedy gets to be itself. It's all we've ever wanted. I hope the war is over. We good? And as always, I love to thank my wife, Elaine. That's right. Elaine has been with me for the last 25 years and had to endure the pains of living with the greatest comedian ever. See you on Monday. Thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you. Thank you. I like not knowing what's going to happen. I like making memories. Sometimes I do all this crazy shit around my colleagues just so that they can tell their friends I did it. But rather than talk about myself, just briefly, I want to just talk about my genre. Stand-up comedy is an incredibly American genre. I don't think any other country could produce this many comedians. And unbeknownst to many people in this audience, I don't think there's opinion that it exists in this country that is not represented in a comedy club by somebody. Each and every one of you has a champion in the room. We watch you guys fight, but when we're together, we talk it out. I know comics that are very racist, and I watch them on stage, and everyone's laughing, and I'm like, that motherfucker means that shit. Don't get mad at them, don't hate them. We go upstairs and have a beer, and sometimes I even appreciate the artistry that they paint their racist opinions with. Man, it's not that serious. The First Amendment is first for a reason. The Second Amendment is just in case the first one doesn't work out. We gotta let some air out of the ball, man. The country's getting a little tight. It doesn't feel like it's ever felt in my lifetime. So tonight, I am honored that my colleagues are here in comedy and in music. And I want everyone in America right now to look at me. Look at me smoking indoors. I didn't ask anybody. I just did it. What are they gonna do? Kick me out before I get the prize? No, nigga, this is called leverage. The thing that I liked best about tonight was that I saw so many people from different parts of my life, like friends that I grew up with here in D.C., friends of mine from Ohio then and now, friends of mine from comedy clubs, all the fucking musicians that blew my mind. You guys have no idea how you inspired me. I want to give a special shout out to my OG, Tony Woods. Miles Davis has a quote. It's one of my favorite. Miles Davis said so much cool shit, but one of the things he said I always loved, he said, it took me years to learn how to play like myself. You know, he would watch other musicians, and he would try to play like Dizzy or Bird, or all the guys who were great. Tony Woods was my Dizzy and Bird if I was a Miles. I was trying to play like you. You were the first person I ever saw do it absolutely right. You were fearless, and you told the truth. There's something so true about this genre, when done correctly, that I will fight anybody that gets a true practitioner of this art form's way, because I know you're wrong. This is the truth, and you are obstructing it. I'm not talking about the content, I'm talking about the art form. Do you understand? Do we have an agreement? And what I really wanted to say tonight, and I'm glad I get the platform to do it, I'm gay. I am gay, and I can't wait to see what this does for my career, being gay like this. So many special shout-outs. One of the main architects of the comeback of the century, my brother and my mentor, the mighty Stan Lathan. I never dreamed that I would be able to work with someone as great as you. These last 5 specials, straight fire. I wouldn't want to do another special with anybody else but you. So eat your motherfucking vegetables and live as long as you can, because we doing a few more of these bitches. Neil Brennan, your speech made me cry, because it reminded me of all those hard days of work and all that money I never got for it. The other real special shout out I gotta make, because none of this would have been possible on any level without this person, is my mother. Mom. My mother. Mom. You have no idea what I put this woman through. If you had just given birth to me, that would have been more than enough. But the fact that she raised me and raised me well. We had a real oral tradition in our house. I knew the word griot when I was a little boy. A griot was a person in Africa who was charged with keeping the stories of the village. Everyone would tell a griot the stories, and they would remember them all so that they could tell future generations. And when they got old, they'd tell them to someone else. And they say in Africa, when a griot dies, it's like a library was burnt down. And my mother used to tell me, before I ever thought about doing comedy, she said, you should be a griot. And she'd fill me with every story of black life. You know, she's educated in African-American studies, and she would let me understand the context that I was being raised in, that I'm being raised in a hostile environment that I have to tame. By the time I was 14 years old, I was in nightclubs, mastering an adult world. It was terrifying. Crack epidemic was going on, and my mother would hear gunshots outside and be scared to death. Maybe it's my son. But early in my career, if you remember, Mom, you used to sit in the club with me. She'd do a full day of work. You'd be back there falling asleep, just waiting for me to go on. She would watch my show every night. Do you know how long that car ride is home? How many of you have ever heard your mother say, pussy jokes were a little too much tonight, son? I was a soft kid. I was sensitive, I'd cry easy, and I would be scared to fist fight. And my mother used to tell me this thing, I don't even know if you remember, but you said this to me more than once. You said, son, sometimes you have to be a lion so you can be the lamb you really are. I talk this shit like a lion. I'm not afraid of any of you. When it comes word to word, I will gab with the best of them, just so I can chill and be me. And that's why I love my art form, because I understand every practitioner of it. Whether I agree with them or not, I know where they're coming from. They want to be heard. They got something to say. There's something they notice. They just want to be understood. Love this genre. It saved my life. So tonight, Mom, I would like to honor you in a very special way that I cannot do on my own. But because now I'm a man with great and influential friends, I'd like to ask my man Thundercat to come out on the stage. Thundercat, the Mighty Most Def. Washington, D.C., thank you very much for giving me a home and a place to start. Today is officially Dave Chappelle Day in Washington, D.C. The mayor declared it last night. So, in the future, on Dave Chappelle Day, I ask everyone who wishes to celebrate it to make one incredible memory for themselves and or somebody else. Thank you very much. Good night. Thank you. You know, I speak for a living, and I'm a little nervous today. I wanted to say thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Bishop Green, and thank everyone at Allen University for hosting me today, because it feels special, right? When I think of this great-grandfather that I've heard about in my life, but never actually touched his legacy. So it's like the product of his loins coming to meet the product of his work. And it's an important day for me personally. And I know a lot of you guys are students, and I just want to tell you I'm the first person in my family to not go to college. And as the president has told you, I've done outstanding in spite of that. But one thing I did want to say, and one thing today just made me think about, for all the things that I've done, I'm most renowned for what I didn't do. I've made decisions in my career that a lot of people have called insane. 2004, had a $50 million deal on the table, and in a crisis of conscience, flipped the table over and walked away. Went to South Africa. Everyone said I was running away from the money. That is not true. In fact, I still want that money. The idea that I wanted to just share with you guys is the idea that sometimes you do what you think is best, whether anybody understands it or not. I heard a story about my father where someone told me he used to do statistics for a company in D.C. The company he did statistics for started doing business with the South African government, so he quit his job. It's caused a lot of problems between him and his wife. It's hard for a man when he can't provide for his family the way he wants to, and he suffered through it. And a generation later, when I had my crisis of conscience, I was able to go to a free South Africa and get away from the heat. This idea that what you do in your lifetime informs the generations that comes after you is something I keep thinking about, something that is so much bigger than just ourselves. And today I'm standing in front of you guys, and I know you guys are like, oh, I know you're bored. but I see family of mine in the front row some who I've never met, and I just realize how all of us are connected. That my great-grandfather built something more substantial than buildings. He built a community, and he built, more importantly than a community, he built a way. You know, so I'm very grateful. Very grateful. Hello, police. I just saw him saying that, you know what I mean? He's standing over like, so this is what black people talk about. I just want you guys to remember, you know, that right now there's this thing where ethics aren't what they used to be. This idea that people are trying to replace the ideas of good and bad with better or worse, and that is incorrect. You gotta keep your ethics intact because good and bad is a compass that helps you find the way. And a person that only does what's better or worse is the easiest type of person to control. They are a mouse in a maze that just finds the cheese. But the one who knows about good and bad will realize that he's in a maze. So, that being said, I just hope that all of you guys transcend whatever you see as your obstacles, and that you live outstanding lives, and that you stay connected to your communities because you have so much power there, and that you grow your communities and you diversify your communities, and that you don't let anybody tell you you can't or to be afraid. It's okay to be afraid because you can't be brave or courageous without fear. The idea of being courageous is that even though you're scared, you just do the right thing anyway. So in 2004, I walked away from $50 million, and in November, I made a deal for $60 million. So, although I am not the most famous comedian of my time, I would like to know what their great-grandfathers did. I'm very proud today. Thank you very much. Picture a famous person you like. Every famous person you could imagine was at that show. It was like the biggest night that Hollywood had ever seen. And when that guy tackled me, he cleared the bleachers. I had to watch the tape afterwards to know this happened, but as soon as he tackled me, Jamie Foxx was the first motherfucker that jumped out of the crowd. He was wearing a white cowboy hat, like he knew this shit was gonna happen to him. Never seen this nigga in a cowboy hat before. And Jamie started chasing that motherfucker around like any given Sunday. And that kid was fast as shit, was juking and shaking, and it broke Jamie's ankles, and he just kept running. And then Jon Stewart from The Daily Show ran from backstage and jumped at this motherfucker like Super Jew. He was like, ah! And the kid seen Jon coming, so he jumped back, and Jon went flying that way. And this kid was fast, and then he turned around. He sees the emergency exit. He starts running for the emergency exit. Just before he got to the door, motherfucking Puff Daddy from Bad Boy Records jumped in front of the door. That nigga was like, Boy, Puffy got that motherfucker. And then every celebrity just ran out because every celebrity saw themselves in me, and they just started beating the fuck out of that kid. And I know Chris was backstage looking like, nobody helped me. Everybody hates Chris. And what I remember most about that night was the pressure. Before the show, I had to run out there on the avenue and hand out tickets to anybody who would take them because I couldn't even fill the fucking room. Boy, what a difference 24 short years makes. And right before that time, my father had died. He never lived to see me do it. And when he died, I was inconsolable. I thought I'd never smile or laugh again. And the only thing that got me out of that space was a comedian friend of mine, the late, great Norm Macdonald. That's right. Shout out to Norm. And what Norm did, which I'll never forget, is he knew that I was the biggest Jim Carrey fan in the world. Now, I'm not going to go all into it, but Jim Carrey is talented in a way that you can't practice, rehearse. What a God-given talent. I was fascinated with him. And Norm knew that. And he called me up and he goes, Dave, he says, I'm doing a movie with Jim Carrey. Do you want to meet him? And I said, fuck, yes, I do. And it was the first time I could remember since my father died being excited. And the movie was called Man on the Moon. I didn't know any of this. And in this movie, Jim Carrey was playing another comedian I admired, the late, great Andy Kaufman. Yes, and Jim Carrey was so immersed in that role that from the moment he woke up to the time he went to bed at night, he would live his life as Andy Kaufman. I didn't know that. When they said cut, this nigga was still Andy Kaufman. So much so that everybody on the crew called him Andy. I didn't know any of that. I just went there to meet him, and when he walked into the room where we were supposed to meet, I screamed, Jim Carrey! And everyone said, no! Call him Andy. And I didn't understand. And then he came over and he was acting weird. I didn't know he was acting like Andy Kaufman. Just like, hey, how you doing? And I was like, hello. Andy? Now, in hindsight, how fucking lucky am I that I got to see one of the greatest artists of my time immersed in one of his most challenging processes ever. Very lucky to have seen that. But as it was happening, I was very disappointed. Because I wanted to meet Jim Carrey, and I had to pretend this nigga was Andy Kaufman all afternoon. And he was clearly Jim Carrey. I could look at him and I could see he was Jim Carrey. Anyway, I say all that to say, that's how trans people make me feel. My wife's friend, Stuart, told me that. My wife has a lot of gay friends. Stuart's their leader. She has a lot of gay friends. And I don't like them. Not because they're gay, I'm just judging them on the merits of their character. They're just not nice dudes. They're rude house guests. They're sitting on my couch, giggling with my wife, eating my motherfucking macaroons. And I come in, they act like the party's over. Hey, Stuart, what's going on? This guy talks to me the way a cat would speak if a cat could talk. Hi, David. He always wants to have some kind of gay political argument. The last one was about a petition in federal court to take the words husband and wife out of the law. I said, well, why would you want those words out the law? He said, because it discriminates against same-sex couples. I was like, niggas, please save me the semantics. Just trust me, take your chips and get the fuck out of the casino. You're about to crap out. Go outside, talk that over amongst yourselves, and whichever one of you is gayer, that's the wife. Okay. Before I did Killing Them Softly, when I was 22, HBO gave me the biggest opportunity of my life at that time. They gave me a half-hour special, but this shit was not like a special, you know what I mean? It was like, it was generic. It didn't even have a title. It was just Dave Chappelle. And I shot it in San Francisco at a place called Broadway Studios, which is on the second floor of a building. And beneath Broadway Studios is a nightclub. And the special was only supposed to be 30 minutes. And I got ready, I practiced, I did all the shit I was supposed to do. And the night that I taped, 20 minutes into my 30-minute set, I'll never forget this, music started blasting from the nightclub underneath. You could hear it real loud, and it fucked my whole show up, and I was devastated. I was a young man. I really believed in what I was doing, and I thought that my dream had been killed. So when I got off stage, I ran down the steps to the alley behind Broadway Studios, where the control trucks are parked, and I kicked that motherfucking door open, and I started yelling at all the producers. I was nobody in show business, just a guy that believed in us. I said, man, you fucked everything up. That fucking music, what the fuck were you thinking? And there was a guy who was a big-time producer, I ain't saying no names, and he stood up, and he said, hey, kid, sit the fuck down. He said, we didn't ruin anything. He said, we made a deal with that nightclub to not play music, and they didn't honor the deal. And I said, who didn't honor the deal? And he pointed to a guy. I'll never forget it. It was an old white man sitting in the Ford Taurus by himself. And he said, that guy right there. And I didn't waste no time or ask no questions. I went to that Ford Taurus, and I beat on that window, and I said, open the door, motherfucker, I want to talk to you. And that old man looked at me for 1 second and wisely drove the fuck off. And left me in the alley cussing at anybody who would listen. And 2 minutes later, literally 120 seconds later, couldn't have been any more than that, the doors of the kitchen in the alley of that nightclub underneath Broadway Studios flung open. And that old man was standing there, that same old man with reinforcements. He had 2 big goons with him, and he looked at me, and he was calm as a cucumber. He said, you, come here. I want to talk to you. I didn't know anything about the streets at this age. But I found out later in my life that these men were Russian mobsters. And I don't know what you guys know about the Russian mob, but these are the niggas that killed Denzel in Training Day. And all the producers knew what I was up against. They said, Dave, do not go in there. And I said, fuck y'all. And I walked right into that kitchen, and they closed the doors behind me, and it got dark as fuck in there. And I knew, I'm not dumb, I knew I was in a bad situation. But you have to understand, I believed in what I was doing, and I didn't give a fuck. Just kept cussing at these motherfuckers, telling them how they ruined my life. And that old man couldn't believe that I was talking all this shit. And as soon as I took a breath, he stopped me gently. He said, hey, kid, listen. Your friends lied to you. He said, we made a deal, but your friends never paid me. And when he said that, I realized I was locked in a kitchen. I realized he was telling the truth, which would make me wrong. And the very moment that I realized I was wrong, for the first time, I was afraid. You see, it's a funny thing if you believe you're absolutely right. You can get drunk off the feeling of how right you are. That's why gay people are so mean. But I didn't buckle. You guys would have been very proud of me. I was scared, but I didn't buckle. I said, well then, sir, I owe you an apology. But I believe that no matter what reason that music was playing, it ruined my life. And that old man looked at me with sympathy in his eyes. And he walked over to me and he gently placed his hand on my cheek, which I gotta tell you, is a very emasculating thing to do. I was standing there looking at this nigga's hand on my cheek like that. And he said, you are a real man. And he tapped me on my cheek. Real soft. Just like that. The doors opened back up. The light from the alley flooded into the kitchen. And I just walked out alive. I lived to fight another day. And in that moment, I learned one of the most valuable lessons of my life, and I have to share it with you. And that lesson is this. In your life, in any given moment, the strongest dream in that moment wins that moment. I am a very powerful dreamer. Yeah, I'm not lying. I dreamed tonight, this very night, as a 14-year-old boy and I am living it as a 50-year-old man. My dreams are very strong. Today, I walked all around Washington. I used to be poor in this city, and all day people just said, hey, Dave, like they knew me personally, and I felt like I knew them. And I say to myself, my God, Dave, what a powerful dream. But then sometimes I feel regular. Just feel like myself. Maybe I'll smoke some weed and be in some nightclub and feel shy. But I'll look across the nightclub and I'll see some guy that no one's ever heard of. But this nigga worked all week and got bottle service. And his bitches bringing Moet with sparklers to him. And I picture in my mind he's Persian. He's doing some kind of weird Persian dance. And he got 6 bitches at his table because he got so much liquor, and they all call him saying, go Cena, go Cena. And I'll be looking across the room like, oh my God, I'm in that guy's dream. I can hear him telling his friends, hey, how was the club last night? Man, that shit was fantastic. I had bottle service. I seen Dave Chappelle across the club looking at me like, ooh, who was that? And that's the trick to life. You have to be wise enough to know when you were living in your dream. And you have to be humble enough to accept when you're in someone else's. It's why I don't judge between Will Smith and Chris Rock. Because you guys look at them as big ideas, but I look at them as fellow dreamers. I can't judge between them because I see myself in both of them. I am Will Smith. I am the man that cannot take it anymore and will slap the shit out of the next person that says a crossword to me or somebody that I love. And I am Chris Rock. I am the man that can get slapped in front of the whole world and keep my composure so I don't fuck anything up. That is what men do. Men make boundaries. Men enforce boundaries, and men test boundaries. And no man tests more boundaries than a trans man. Kelly got another sex tape out now. This guy makes more sex tapes than he does music. He's like the DJ Khaled of sex tapes. Another one, like damn. The new one's so bad that they didn't even show it. 16 times the girl's age was mentioned. Isn't that crazy? This motherfucker's an idiot. He was fucking her like, yeah, this is the best 14-year-old pussy I've ever had in my life. And she was like, you like this 14-year-old pussy? He's like, oh yeah, I love this 14. I'm like, man, you need to shut the fuck up. You gotta give your lawyer something to work with. You're supposed to be on the tape like, this is the best 36-year-old pussy I've ever had in my life. And then your lawyer gonna be like, Your Honor, clearly my client thought that this woman was 36. As he mentioned some 16 times in the tape. They gonna know you lying though, you know what I mean? Everybody knows no such thing as good 36-year-old pussy. When I see a fellow dreamer, I give them my utmost respect. Even if I don't understand what their dream is. I know a dreamer when I see one. And I've met many powerful dreamers in my life. None more powerful than a man who calls himself Little Nas X. I met this nigga at a party. I had no idea who he was. But the minute he walked in that party, I knew I was in his dream. Everybody in the party was another dreamer. Everyone was famous, but when that nigga walked in, he was dressed like C-3PO. He was shining. And everyone was like, oh my God, there he is. That's Lil Nas X. Oh. I didn't know who he was. And for some reason, out of all them dreamers, he walked right up to me. And he said, I tried to get you in my video. I didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. I said, what? I said, what? What video? And he just looked at me like, you know what video, and walked away. And I watched him walk away. I said, man, this nigga's having a very powerful dream. You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of when we was in grade school. Remember in grade school, the teacher would ask everybody what they want to be? Timmy, what do you want to be when you grow up? And Timmy acted like he had an idea. He'd stand up, he'd say, I want to be a fireman. And the teacher would say, Timmy, that is a beautiful dream. But Timmy didn't mean it. Timmy said he wanted to be a fireman because deep down, Timmy's attracted to fire. And by the time he's 14 years old, this nigga's a full-blown pyromaniac, playing with kerosene and matches like a goddamn expert. And then one night he goes downtown with his buddies, fucking around with fire, and burns a warehouse down. And he doesn't know it, but there's 13 migrant workers from El Salvador, and they're in that motherfucker. They get trapped, and then they die in the fire. Isn't that a tragedy? It was an accident. He's only 14 years old, but he's black. So they try him as an adult. And Timmy ends up spending the rest of his life in jail. Dream deferred. Burp, burp. What about you, Billy? Billy, what do you want to be when you grow up? And Billy stands up and he says, I want to be president of the United States. And the teacher says, oh my God, Billy, that is a wonderful dream. And Billy means that shit. Billy does everything right. That motherfucker gets his grades up. He joins student government. He even does extracurricular activities like show choir just to make his resume look good. He's on track to be president, but junior year he wipes. When he's 16, he gets his girlfriend pregnant and has to drop out of high school to make ends meet. But lucky for him, the local Walmart's hiring. By the time he's 20 years old, this motherfucker makes assistant manager at Walmart. He's the youngest one in the district. He says, oh my God, if I can keep this up for 4 more years, I could be a manager. And if I can keep this up for 6 more years after that, I could even be a regional manager and have as many as 3 Walmarts under my control. And he's a big picture guy. He sees where this path is going, so he kills himself. Well, what about you? What do you want to be when you grow up? I don't want to say, because I don't want the other kids to laugh at me. Who cares if they laugh? Your dream is yours. Own your dream so they can come true. Say it loud and proud. What do you want to be when you grow up? Little Nas X. And that nigga stood up in front of the whole class. I want to be the gayest nigga that ever lived. I want to do a music video and slide down a stripper pole all the way to the depths of hell and suck the devil's dick at 10 o'clock on BET while all the kids are awake and can see me. Shockingly, that was the only dream that worked out. That's why I'm here tonight in the city where I built the dreams that I live, because I wanted to tell you all that they came true. And I wanted to thank you all for making the man that I am today. Yes, I am living a very powerful dream. Every time I come to this city and I stand in front of you, I realize that, my God, man, this is not my dream at all. It's yours. And I am honored to be in it. Thank you very much, Washington, D.C. I'll see you next time. I'll tell you what happened, but I can't say it directly. There's a book to me that encapsulates my entire experience before I left the show. And the book is called Pimp. It's written by a guy named Iceberg Slim. Here, bring it up here. This is Matthew. Matthew is from France. He's white. And yet, he has an original copy of this book written by a black American who was a pimp in the 40s. Iceberg Slim, his real name was Robert Beck. He got the name Iceberg because he was in a bar in Chicago and there was a shootout in the bar and a bullet went through this nigga's hat and he still finished his drink. Pimps love shit like that. They say, man, you ice cold. And he said, I like that. And it stuck. This book is so heavy in the front. It has a glossary of pimp terms because the ideas are so foreign to the American ears. For instance, do you know what the phrase mileage on a hoe means? Of course you don't. Mileage on a hoe is a very wild concept. It means that pimps understand there's a finite amount of bad shit a person can do before they'll lose their fucking mind. And a good pimp can look at a woman that he's never seen before and call it, she's good for 500 fucks. That's her mileage. Anything over that, that bitch is gonna spill. They do it to you. Why the fuck you think most of us work from 9 to 5? Because 9 to 6 might kill a bitch. Iceberg Slim was the one that broke down what a bottom bitch was. Does anyone know what a bottom bitch is? Anyone? What's a bottom bitch, sir?
It's your prostitute that's the best out of all of them, that brings in the most money.
That's right. That's exactly right. Are you black? That's right. A bottom bitch is a pimp's number one hoe. She's even a bitch that helps him keep the other bitches in line. I will repeat. She's even the bitch that helps him keep the other bitches in line. The pimp was McDonald's and the bottom bitch is French fries. The rest of the bitches is like fish sandwiches and cherry pies and shit like that. Iceberg Slim breaks down some of the coldest capitalist concepts I've ever heard in my life. He describes in detail how these men break women so that they will give them the money that they make with their own bodies. There's a story in here so cold it makes me shudder to think about it. Well, Iceberg Slim is trying to control a woman that he finds uncontrollable. So he asks the older pimp how he can rein her in. And the older pimp says, oh, that's easy, Iceberg. All you have to do is beat that bitch with a coat hanger and then run her a bath and give her some pills. She'll be so grateful that you fixed her that she'll forget you were the motherfucker that beat her in the first place. That's some cold shit. Now, at the end of this book, Iceberg Slim tells a story. It's kind of the crescendo of the book. And in the story, Iceberg Slim's bottom bitch is at the end of her mileage. If she was good for 500 fucks, she was at 498. She was bubbling. You could see it. She was going crazy. She started saying all kinds of shit. Oh, I always wanted to be in circus. Circus, this bitch is stupid. I can juggle too, you know. Juggle. He had to let her go. It's hard to let her go. A bottom bitch go. And he wasn't ready to let her go because his organization couldn't handle losing her. But she didn't know that. She didn't know how important she was. So what he did was he called her to a diner. He said, look, bitch, you and I gotta part ways. She said, fine, motherfucker. I don't need you anyway because I know somebody at Ringling Brothers. She was like, all right, bitch, whatever. I got one last trick for you. It's a big money trick. You do this for me, you get paid, I get paid, and we go our separate ways. She said, fine, motherfucker, what do you want me to do? He said, okay, there's a guy in a hotel across the street. He's waiting for you in room number 7. I want you to go over there and I want you to fuck him. But before you do, I need you to put some of this stuff in his drink. And then he's going to fall asleep. When he does, there's a briefcase on his bed. Bring the briefcase to me. That's the trick, bitch. Can you handle it? She said, fuck yeah, I can handle it. I can't wait to get rid of you. And she ran outside, jumped on a unicycle, and pedaled across the street. And Iceberg watched her. He was like, man, she's pretty good. Man, if I never jerked off in her face, maybe she would have been in the circus right now. She runs up to the motel steps and she disappears in room number 7. And she's gone for a real long time. Real long time. So long, in fact, that Iceberg got a little worried. But then, suddenly, she came back. He said, what's going on, bitch? Where's the briefcase? She said, I didn't get it, Daddy. He said, what do you mean you didn't get the briefcase? Bitch, what's wrong with you? She said, oh, I did everything you said, but that man don't look right. Something wrong, Daddy. He said, what do you mean something's wrong, bitch? Did you put that stuff in his drink? She said, I did everything you said, Daddy. I put all of it in his drink. He said, wait a minute, bitch. Wait a minute. You put all of it in his drink? Now he had to see for himself. So the two of them go across the street to the motel. They go into room number 7. And on the bed, laying lifelessly, is the white man that she was supposed to fuck. And Iceberg said, you right, bitch. She don't look good. What the fuck? So he called a friend of his that was a doctor that was close by. And the doctor came in, gave the guy a thorough examination, and told them both what was obvious. Slim, this motherfucker is dead. Oh, God, Daddy. Oh, no. Oh, no, we killed him. He said, calm down, bitch. We didn't do anything. You killed this motherfucker. And then he reached under the bed and he grabbed the briefcase. He popped it open. It was filled with money. More money than any of them had ever seen. And Iceberg took a little bit of the money and gave it to the doctor, and the doctor left discreetly. All right, bitch, let me think. I can fix this for you. I know somebody I can call. But if I call him, I'm going to owe these motherfuckers a big favor. Oh, God, Daddy, please. I don't want to go to jail. Neither do I, bitch, so will you shut up? She picked up the phone. She heard him mumbling in the phone a little bit. He hung up the phone, and she was pacing the room, and he was just standing there cool, and they were waiting, and suddenly a van pulled up downstairs. 2 guys get out with a carpet. They walk upstairs. They roll that carpet out on the floor. They throw the body in the carpet. They roll that motherfucker up like a burrito. They pick that shit up, and they throw it in the back of the van. They come back up, and Iceberg opens the briefcase again and gives them a little money. He says, I'll get in touch with you guys later. They say, you're not going to get in touch with us at all. We'll find you. He said, whatever, nigga. And they bounced. Oh, God, Daddy, oh, God. He says, relax, bitch. Listen, we getting the fuck out of here. You go downstairs, you get the car. We got to leave separately. She went, she got the car. Iceberg grabbed that briefcase, waited a few minutes, looked out the window, and then he went down with her. They both got in the car, and they drove off. She was a blubbering mess. Oh, you did all this shit. He said, I told you, bitch, we didn't do anything. You killed a motherfucker, and I cleaned him up. And now we got us a secret, okay? Now, I know I'm not going to tell, bitch. It's you. Oh, no, I ain't going to tell. He said, all right, baby, cool. I'm going to need you to stay with me for a while till this shit cools down. She goes, okay. That's the game. That's how the whole shit works, ladies. You understand? This bitch was at the end of her mileage. She was at 498. She ended up tricking for Iceberg for another 6 months. She must have turned another 200 tricks for him. Do you understand? That's some cold shit. And the cold shit about it is that the dead guy on the bed wasn't even dead at all. This motherfucker was just a friend of Iceberg's acting like he's asleep. The doctor wasn't a doctor, it was a motherfucking butcher that happened to have a white coat. And the dudes who came to the moving van clothes was dressed like movers because they were movers. Iceberg had gotten a new apartment. And the bag of money was Iceberg's money in the first place. The money he got from all those women. That's a cold game. That's the motherfucking capitalist manifesto. And that's why I went to South Africa. So now we got us a little secret, bitch. And they all looked at me. They could tell who I was voting for just as easily as I could tell who they were voting for. But do you guys know what we all had in common? Not one of us, not a single one of us, looked like we felt good about what we had to do in that booth. We were just doing our goddamn duty. Yes, I voted for Hillary Clinton. Of course I did. I voted for her because I liked what she said vastly better than I liked what he said. But to be honest with you, at that point, that shit was like watching Darth Vader do the I Have a Dream speech. That bitch is mean as hell. She'd already Karate Kid swept Bernie Sanders' legs from underneath him. Boy, it was hard voting for that shit. But it was the lesser of the evils. I know you were a Clinton supporter, Miss I am sorry for her. But it didn't feel as good as it should have. She was gonna be our first woman president. They were gonna make coins out of this bitch. And somehow she just missed the dunk. Of course she should have beat him. Of course she should have beat him. You know what voting for her felt like? It was bittersweet. It felt like I was lucky enough to eat Halle Berry's pussy. And whilst I was doing so, she fucking farted in my face, man. Now you understand, I'd still do it. But boy, I wish she didn't fart in this great nation's face. I voted that day, and then that same day I flew to New York City. I had work. That night I was in a comedy club in New York, and I said to an audience almost exactly what I just said to you. And I didn't know that there was a journalist in the room. And this journalist wrote an article. The headline of the article said, Dave Chappelle is an avid. Yeah, I had no idea the paper said that. And you know how I found out? My wife called me from Ohio the next morning in a goddamn panic. David, what the fuck is going on in New York? I said, I'm being good, but what have you heard? And my wife said, the paper is saying that you're a Donald Trump supporter. I was like, whew. I said, don't worry about that shit, baby. Nobody in their right mind would believe that. And she said, no, David, people believe it. And then she started reading the comments to me. Oh, they were terrible. All these black people call me all kinds of Uncle Toms and shit. I should tell you, buddy, this is a very serious allegation from one black to another. I was incensed. Uncle Tom? Uncle Tom, nigga. You the one that reads the Observer. Anyway, all this shit goes down around, and now Trump is the president, and I'm hosting Saturday Night Live. And I didn't really prepare my monologue. I just kind of winged it. And at the end of the monologue, I don't even remember what I said. I said something like, fuck it, we're historically disenfranchised, and we're gonna give him something about we're gonna give him a chance if he gives us a chance. I don't know what I said, but whatever I said, I really wish I didn't say that shit. It was not worth the trouble. Now I walk into the barbershop and all them black people just be looking at me like, yo, Dave, what's up with your boy? Yo, nigga, yo! Not my boy. Because I don't care if you're a Republican or Democrat, if you support him or not, any objective person is going to have to admit that this motherfucker is having a terrible go of it. It really is. We've had presidents before that have done bad jobs, but this shit is worse than a bad job. It's scary to watch. Holy shit, it's like seeing a crack pipe in your Uber driver's passengers. The fuck is wrong with this guy? Yo, he is lunching, nigga. I watched Donald Trump in a press conference, and this motherfucker had all the media gathered, and this nigga literally asked the media to their face to stop finding shit out. I was like, yo, this motherfucker is bugging. And then, I'm not even making this up, his lips started sweating. His lips. Have you ever seen a motherfucker's lip sweat? What the fuck is wrong with this nigga's lips? It's like if you're on a plane, right? You ever been on a plane? I get scared to fly. I do it all the time. I be scared on there. And sometimes the plane will hit turbulence. And then I get nervous. But I always look at the flight attendant, and she looks calm, and it makes me feel calm. But if that bitch's lips were sweating, it's terrifying. Like, yo, nigga, why are your lips sweating? What do you know? And then, I'm not even making this shit up. This motherfucker grabbed the podium, he goes, you don't know how scary the things I read in my briefings are. What's that, bro? That's bad leadership. Even as a parent, you think I'm gonna sit my kids down? Hey, little man, come here real quick. I just wanna holler at you for a second. Yo, I'm 3 months behind on the rent, nigga, and I am worried. Very worried. Go to school and have a productive day, nigga. I was just thinking out loud, getting some shit off my chest. Like, what the fuck are you doing, bro? This is bad, man. Jesus Christ. All this motherfucker's ideas sound like high people ideas. Like, he doesn't think these things through before he tells us. He just tells us what he's thinking as soon as it occurs to him. This shit sounds nuts. I'm gonna go to China, and I'm gonna get those jobs from China and bring them back here to America. For what, nigga? So iPhones can be $9,000? Leave that job in China where it belongs. None of us want to work that hard. What the fuck is he thinking? Because I don't want to make them shits. What the fuck are you doing? Stop trying to give us Chinese jobs. I am going to bring back coal. Coal? I'm not even exaggerating. I have never in my life even seen a fucking lump of coal. I honestly don't even know what coal is for. If you're gonna have motherfuckers digging around in the dirt looking for shit, find me some truffles, nigga. That's what I'm about. And these truffle prices are getting out of control. If it gets any worse, I'm gonna be back down to regular butter like everybody else. Terrible, terrible job. This motherfucker hit North Korea with rap battle threats. Fire and fury, like, yo! Yo, what are you doing? It's fucking Korea, man. Kim Jong-un is a scary motherfucker. He might be as crazy as Trump. Some scary shit. And if you one of them naive motherfuckers that thinks that a war with Korea is gonna be easy, then you don't play Call of Duty at 3 a.m. like I do. Because that's when the Koreans play. Fucking 8-year-old Korean kid took out my whole goddamn platoon last night. I've never seen somebody in the office so high with the most just basic fucking solutions. Like, you know, we should not let any more Muslims in the country till we can figure out what's going on. Did he just say, figure out what's going on? Who doesn't know how to do basic math? Let's count it out, okay? There's been 17 mass shootings in the United States. 4 of them were done by Muslims. None of those 4 Muslims were from any of the 7 countries in your stupid ass original band. And since he brought it up, the other 13 shootings were done by the Tiki Torch Whites. These are facts. And you don't see me trying to ban white people from the show to keep it's a fucking terrible idea because it's mean and it's racist. And most importantly, it would be catastrophic to my bottom line. If there were no white people here tonight, I might leave this bitch with $1,800. This man needs to realize that we all need each other. And that's why we will never, ever be able to beat China. Because everybody in America is racist, and everybody in China is Chinese. This motherfucker called it all wrong. And don't believe the media either, because as all this shit is happening, the media is trying to make us believe that the extremities amongst us are the norms. We can disagree, that's fine. And most of us are keeping a cool head about this shit. You know what I mean? Americans generally respect one another's beliefs, even if they don't share those beliefs. I know I do. I respect everybody's beliefs, except Amish people. Because they are the only ones that I can say clearly their God is wrong. The speed limit is 75 miles an hour in Ohio, and 1 lane of traffic is buggy. Nigga, your God is ridiculous. All the Amish people around my way know me too. Not from television, obviously. They know me from the streets. Because when I see them horse and buggies, I'll pull the Porsche over and talk to them. Ezekiel. Ezekiel, are you sure that God doesn't want you to have any of this technology or this energy? Huh? Huh? I can't hear you, nigga. Let me turn this air conditioner off. What did you say? And them niggas be like, get away from me, ye. Ye tried to tempt me like the devil. Devil? Nah, bro, I'm trying to put you on to the game, Zeke. It's a big world out here, nigga. I just went 25 miles in 30 minutes. That's a day's journey for you. You don't even know what the weather's gonna be tomorrow, do you? I do. You don't even know that there's a valuable Pokemon right on here. I drive away. Huh? Oh, my vape pen? You want to hit my vape pen? Oh, sorry, nigga. I'm trying not to get herpes. My bad. I've been playing cat and mouse with herpes for 30 years now, but every night I go to the club, I'll be like, not tonight, herpes. No disrespect, I'm not saying you have herpes, I'm just saying 1 out of 5 people do. So let's just all be careful around this motherfucker and make sure that we leave with the lips we came with.
Every cent of that $12,000 ticket done. That was fantastic. Well, it's a pleasure to be here at the Illuminati bake sale or wherever this thing is that I'm at. I gotta tell you, I was nervous. Hey, how you doing? You know, it's funny when you see a black person in a room like that, and you're like, oh, she owns BET. I normally don't do benefits. Not because I don't care, but because the crowds are historically stuffy. I don't like being judged. I love you, bro. In a very impersonal way, I should add. I can't even see who said that. I haven't been back in New York in a while, especially for something like this. I was here years ago. And it was one of those times my wife was mad at me because I had said something terrible. These things happen in a marriage. We always say the meanest things to the people we love the most. And it's not that we mean them, it's just that we know that these people love us and they'll let us say these things. And it makes us feel better. So this particular time I was in town for a protest. It was during Occupy Wall Street. I wasn't here for Occupy Wall Street, I was here for a lesser known protest called Occupy Luxury Suite. It was day 6. I was bored, it was late in the afternoon, so I figured maybe I'd call some of my friends in New York and tell them I was in town, have a nice lunch. And I did. I called them up, we had made plans, and then I went outside to catch a cab. And that's when reality set in. I'm still black in America. It was 4 o'clock, it was hot. You know how New York gets in the summer when it's hot? It was that sweltering, do the right thing heat. And I'm standing out there trying to catch a cab, and I can't catch a cab to save my life. But then I remembered I was staying in a luxury suite, and there's a guy there that's supposed to help me out. So I go to him, and I say, sir, I'm having a very difficult time catching a cab, and I'm against the hotel. And he said, Mr. Chappelle, absolutely. Why don't you wait in the bushes, and we'll get a cab for you. And I said, that's a great idea. So I hide in the bushes, and I'm waiting for this guy to catch a cab, and it's taking him a long time too. And while I'm waiting, I see a homeless guy. I'm assuming he's homeless. He looked disheveled, and he was digging in the trash, but very deliberately, not an idle sifting. This guy was on a mission. He was digging in the trash real hard, and I was staring at him. Not in a judgmental way. I was just looking at him like, damn, this guy's really digging in the trash. And as I said it, it was as if he heard me. And he looked directly at me while I was hiding in the bushes. And then he started walking directly towards me. And as he got closer, I could see that he recognized me. I could see him put my name together. Oh, not Chris. And as he got closer, on his face I saw hope and desperation. When he got real close, I couldn't take it anymore. It was too intimate. I screamed at him. I jumped out of the bushes. I said, don't come any closer. And he said, I just need some. I said, don't even finish that sentence. Get away from me. You stink. You stink, I said. And he looked at me and I saw fury in his eyes. And then I saw hurt. And then I saw resignation, like he remembered something. And then his eyes just drifted slowly down to his own tattered shoes. And instantly, when I saw that, I felt so much better. Just then my cab came and I jumped in my cab. I went uptown to a restaurant called Italy. It was fantastic. I highly recommend it. They serve huge portions. I couldn't even finish my lunch. And they comped my lunch. And then I was uptown, so I figured I'd do some shopping. And I did some shopping uptown. And then there I was at Columbus Circle, trying to catch a cab downtown. And again, racism reared its ugly head. I couldn't catch a cab downtown. And then I remembered, holy shit, I have $5 in cash on. So I went across the street to Central Park South, and I caught a horse and buggy all the way from Central Park South back downtown to the village. It was beautiful. By this time, the sun was setting, and there was that orangish, purplish glow in the sky, and I had a blanket over my lap, concealing an erection that I had for absolutely no reason. It turned out to be a wonderful day. Then I got back to the hotel, and I guess who was across the street? The same homeless guy that I had seen earlier. And to be honest with you, the sight of him disgusted me. I ran to the hotel door, and the only thing that stopped me was I saw my own reflection in the glass. There I was, spaghetti sauce in my face from my expensive lunch, arms filled with shopping bags. And I must have Medusa'd myself because I stood there for a very long time. And then, the story's going nowhere, but the guy that helped me earlier saw me and he said, Mr. Chappelle, are you okay? Do you need some help with your bags? And I said, no, I don't. I need you to just keep an eye on me because I have to go across the street and take care of something. And I ran across the street to that homeless guy that I'd seen earlier. And as soon as he saw me, he was mad. He said, I said, look, man, I'm sorry. That's why I came over here. I just wanted to let you know that it was wrong for me to say that. And to be honest with you, I couldn't even smell you when I said it. I didn't know that you stunk, but you do stink now that I'm close. And I just wanted to let you know that I was wrong and I'm sorry. And his eyes softened. Now I couldn't see any anger or anything. Matter of fact, I couldn't even read his expression. He just looked at me for a long time. It made me very uncomfortable. They said, you know, deep down, I think I'm around this area because I was hoping that I would run into you. I was going to punch you in the stomach. It takes a real man to know when he's wrong. It takes a bigger man than that to admit that he's wrong. And you coming over here and apologizing to me, he said, that's no little thing, young man. And I accept the apology. And I said, well, thank you very much, sir. And I don't mean this in a bad way, but I had a wonderful day today. I said, it was a beautiful day. And the only time I felt bad all day is when I thought about you. And he said, that's fucked up. I said, I know. But I did think about you when I was shopping, and I bought you something in case I might have saw you. You said, you bought something for me? I said, yes, I did. And I set all my shopping bags down, and he went up to that shopping bag, and he looked in there, he said, oh my God. I said, not that one, motherfucker, this one's for me. And I handed him a Macy's bag. He said, oh my God, is this for me? He says, for you, go ahead, look. He said, this is a brand new lime green velour Sean John sweatsuit. I said, yep, same shit Puffy wears. And he said, man, thanks, young man. And he started to put it on right there on the street. I said, wait a minute, that's not all. Look in the pocket. They looked in the pocket, and he was like, is this the, I said, that's right. A marijuana cigarette? I said, yes, that's right. He said, I have not smoked marijuana since Vietnam without smoking, if you smoke it with me. I said, well, I hadn't planned on putting my lips on the same joint as you. Sure, why not? I'll light it first. And I lit the joint. We literally sat there on the dumpster right there in Soho. Smoked weed, me and this homeless dude. He had on that lime green sweatsuit. Kind of looked like Oscar Grouch as the sun was setting. I know you guys are mad right now, but the point is this. We are all incredibly privileged people.
And you know, I was the first guy on television to ever say, give Donald Trump a chance. I know, I fucked up, I shouldn't have said that. Huge mistake on my part. It's going worse than I ever dreamed it would go. It really is going bad. I think he's in trouble. I think, like, I'm worried about his well-being as a dude. He doesn't seem like he's... The guy held a press conference where he asked the media to stop finding shit out. He said, no, I don't think that's gonna work. You ever see that press conference? You don't know how scary the things that I see in my briefings are. I don't think you're supposed to tell us that, sir. Tell us that shit is scary. Who does that? Even as a parent, do you do that? So the kids say, hey, little man, look, I'm 3 months behind on the rent, and I'm worried this month. I don't know if it's gonna work out. Go to school and have a productive day. I don't know. Maybe the last few more months. Every day when you wake up, you never know what he's gonna be next. Donald Trump. He's exciting like you thought a black president would have been. He's action-packed in a way we never dreamed the president would be action-packed. He's a crazy shit. Donald Trump said we should not let any Muslims into the United States until we can figure out what's going on. And I think that's way out of step with the way people feel in America. Am I wrong on that, or was it me? I think you guys are not a good gauge of how people actually feel about it. You're largely rich white New Yorkers. You didn't even know he was going to win in the first place. I'm the Jane Goodall of white people. I live amongst the poor whites. I study them. And I have no problem with any white person, but the poor whites are my least favorite. A lot of trouble from that. But I knew he was going to win. And I just felt like he was out of step. Like, I feel like most Americans believe that we respect each other's beliefs, whether we share those beliefs or not. I know I feel like that. Even out there in Ohio, it's like that. I respect everybody's beliefs, except for whatever Amish people believe. I can't stand seeing them. See, I took a long pause because I meant that shit. I don't respect those beliefs. I was driving down the street and I stopped my Porsche whenever I see them horse and buggies. All the Amish people know me, not from television, just because I stop every time I see them. Ezekiel. He says, get away from me, E. Ezekiel, come on, bro. Are you sure? You sure God doesn't want you to have any of this technology? He said, you tried to tempt me like the devil. Devil! I'm trying to put you onto the game. I just went 30 miles in 25 minutes. It's a big world, Ezekiel. You don't even know what the weather's gonna be tomorrow, do you? You don't even know there's a valuable Pokemon on your shoulder. Blink, tap, tap. I mean, don't let any more Muslims in the country till we figure out what's going on. I already know what's going on. It's like 17 mass shootings in the United States. 4 of them were done from Muslims. 7 countries that are banned have none of those 4 people from them. The other 13 shootings was done by crazy white people. And you don't see us banning white people from benefits to keep the rest of the audience safe. Not only is it wrong, it would be catastrophic to the Robin Hood Foundation's bottom line. People know white people here would only raise $300, maybe $400 tonight. That's not we all need each other. Is he going to get impeached? Trump? No, I don't want that enthusiastic hooray. I want somebody, I know there's a guy in this room somewhere that's like, yes, he is state. And I'm like, yes, he is. His wife still lives in New York, doesn't she? Nobody wants. You guys probably know him personally. I forgot where I was. Sorry about that. I'll just Google the shit when I get on stage. Hey, how are you, man? You look great, by the way. They asked me to come here for 15 minutes. Sure, they regret it. I am the other Westmore. I read that. The other Westmore. I know Westmore's in here somewhere. Congratulations, West. Every time I see you, I'm impressed beyond my wildest dreams. Never met West personally, but I'm definitely impressed. You know, because I know